Do you want to go over your You're good, man.
We'll still get started with the orchard ice cream here in person.
Do you want me to try one more time or just go ahead and
Any of the rest of you guys want one of these? Jeff, you want one? Might be two, but hey, have all you want.
Good morning. Oh, also, the music, the lyrics are on the pamphlet that campus. So if you don't have music and you want to see the lyrics, please keep pamphlets
So, these are your morning announcements. If you are a visitor, if you scan the QR code on the handout to receive welcome and reminder text for upcoming events, you can also use that link for prayer requests and online giving. Cafe Team. You can play an essential role in discipleship at Hopesprings by keeping people awake all the way to the end of Pastor Nick's sermons. Sign up to help with the Sunday call. Pumpkin and soup night. Come hungry and bring some soup to share and a pumpkin to carve. That'll be at 6 p.m. That's Wednesday, the 8th of October. The pumpkins we carve will represent Hopesprings in the park at Bangor's Oktoberfest. Something else coming up, baptism class. We're holding a 2-part baptism class after church on Sundays. That's going to be the 12th and the 19th of October. Anyone who wants to know what baptism is all about is welcome to attend. Halloween parade. Come out to celebrate our float in this year's Halloween parade, themed Under the Big Top. That's at 7 p.m. Thursday, October 16th. And sign-ups. We have a few sign-ups coming up. Sign-ups are going on for the last 3 weekends in October. Share your availability on Facebook or sign up in the back of the church next Sunday. We have Oktoberfest Saturday and Sunday. That's the 11th and 12th of October at Bangor Memorial Park. We have Harvest Fest. That's 11 to 3 on Saturday, the 18th of October. That's downtown Bangor. Trunk or Treat. After church Sunday, that's October 26th at Hopesprings. And Slater Family Network. This month we're collecting paper products like toilet paper, tissues, and paper towels to go to Slater Family Network for our neighbors in need. You can drop them into the container in the back of the sanctuary. And this morning's song is Christopher Swanson.
Thank you. I'm going to be reading Psalm 6 from the New Living Translation. O Lord, don't rebuke me in your anger, or discipline me in your rage. Have compassion on me, Lord, for I am weak. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. I am sick at heart. How long, O Lord, until you restore me? Return, O Lord, and rescue me. Save me because of your unfailing love. For the dead do not remember you. Who can praise you from the grave? I am worn out from sobbing. All night I flood my bed with weeping, drenching it with my tears. My vision is blurred by grief. My eyes are worn out because of all of my enemies. Go away, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea. The Lord will answer my prayer. May all my enemies be disgraced and terrified. May they suddenly turn back in shame.
We'll continue with worship.
Singing
I have days and lose the fight. Try my best, but just don't get it right. I took that I don't walk. Here's the moments right before my eyes. Somebody with hurt that I could have loved. Somebody with pain that I could have felt. But I just can't see past myself. Oh, a little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, loving, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me. Go tonight and I have changed, 'cause I've been saved from the lights again. Living on my best, I must confess, still need help to see the world you see. Somebody with hurt that I could have helped, somebody with pain that I could have felt. I just can't see past myself. A little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me. I want to feel better, I want to see, love to feel, love to feel, feeling good when I receive whatever you need. I want to put you first above all else, love my neighbor as myself. You're the Lord, so I'll say, Lord, help me. A little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me, a little more like goodness, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me.
better? Well, welcome to Hopesprings to the only Sunday where I get to preach in shades without feeling like a loser. Kind of fun, makes me feel a little bit like Bono. Actually, I will point out, I caught 21 Pilots last night in an outdoor concert, and never once did the noise alarm go off on my watch. But this morning, it went off. I like art too. Also makes me feel like Bono. So that's kind of cool. All right, we are kicking off a brand new series this morning, and it's going to carry us right through to Advent. We like to do kind of focus series in the autumn. There's all kinds of great stuff going in the fall, as you heard from announcements. And so we're kicking off a new series today that I'm calling Questionable Lives, which is news to everyone because I just settled on it last night. The title, I knew what I was talking about, but it took me a while to get here. But we're going to talk about living questionable lives. Paul's assumption in the New Testament all through is that there are certain people who are kind of gifted as evangelists that they can just walk up to a fence post and talking about Jesus, it goes pretty well. But for the rest of us, the kind of normal way of talking to people about Jesus is going to be answering questions, which means we have to live in such a way that they ask questions. And so what I'm not telling you is like, I want you to be, like, I don't want everyone in your office to think you're weird, right? Like, that's not what we're shooting for. You know, if you're the guy that all the girls are like, he's weird, that is not good. We're not looking for that. If you're going to school this week, I don't want everyone else at the high school to be like, that kid is strange. That's not really helping our cause. What I am talking about, though, is living in such a way it kind of reflects the truth of the gospel so that people actually ask you questions and say, well, it's interesting that you take a day off. It's interesting that you give money to that person. It's interesting that you're kind to this person. It's interesting what's going on there. And then you get to look at them and just go, well, say something along the lines of, you know, I follow Jesus, believe in Jesus, and he's taught me this whole different way of life that is actually really good and really cool. And so that's what I want us to be able to say. And so we're going to work on that all through, we're going to have actually things to do, things to practice that will come out of this. But we're going to do something else that is a little bit questionable, which is that as we go through this whole series, we're going to be in the book of Romans, but we're going to start with chapter 12, and we're going to follow it through to the end of the book, chapter 16. So we're going to take the last part of Romans, which is kind of weird. Everybody else loves the first 8 chapters of Romans. They struggle with 9 through 11, and then they treat 12 through the end like Paul's sort of like signing off. Like, okay, so now do this stuff. Like, there's 11 chapters of theology, and that's what everybody gets hopped up about, and it is great. It's fantastic. But Paul didn't think of Romans that way. Paul thought that he had written 11 chapters of theology so that he could get to the point where he could say what he says in 12 through 16. Now, I know the whole book really well. It's one of my specialities. I'm going to be able to pull from that. We're going to do a lot of justice. I think maybe next year we might circle back around and do the first part of Romans. And I think if we've been practicing these last 5 chapters, it's going to be a lot more meaningful to us. And it's going to answer some of the questions we started to have. And so we're going to do some stuff on purpose here. And so one of the things I do, I've tried to do for a long time, I find it really helpful and useful, but it also, I think, makes me maybe a little questionable in those ways, is I try to apply what I call the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule, or the 80-20 principle is probably better. It's not really a rule, it's not a hard fast, it's just a principle. It's something that the more you lean into it, I think the better it does you. And what the 80-20 principle says is that you want to spend 80% of your time doing the stuff you're really good at. Doing the stuff where you add distinct and rare value, the stuff that many other people in your organization can't do. And then 20% of your time doing the other stuff. That's, someone's going to take out the garbage. It's like nobody's special gifting. You just take out the garbage. That's fine, so long as you're spending about 20% of your time on that and 80% of the time on the stuff that really matters the most. Now, I didn't make this up. You'll see it actually lots of places. If you read any kind of leadership books, business books, it will show up. It's not a bad idea if you can kind of make it happen. And underlying it is this assumption that, what happens if we're not intentional is that you can get away with 20% of the stuff you're really good at, right? Because you're really good at it, and it comes out okay.
And then you're trying to be good at stuff that you're not actually good at. And so you spend 80% of your time on the stuff you're not really good at. Because you spend 80% of your time on it, it kind of comes out okay. And so you drift towards a profound mediocrity. But if you're intentional about going, no, this is the stuff I really do, I'm going to do this 8% of the time. And this is the stuff I don't do that well. I'll do what I have to, but I'm going to kind of leave that sit. Then it begins to propel you towards excellence. And I think that's true. Like, if you do things you're not good at, they generally don't go well, right? I mean, this is how it goes. When you do something, you go, I'm not good at this thing, I'm going to do it. You just know when you start, like, this isn't going to go that well. You know, I'm going to do it, I'll get it done, but nobody's going to be that impressed with it. That's all right. It just has to get done, and that's fine with a lot of things. Most jobs, most professions, most lives, you have to have a lot of what we call threshold competencies. Pastors have to have a lot of those. I don't have to be the greatest organizational leader in the world, but I have to do it well enough that we can all get together every week. I don't have to be the greatest financial guy in the world, but I have to do it well enough that we don't just run out of money next month, right? And so you got to have things that you do well enough. But you have this stuff that you really ought to lean into. And so when people talk about it, that's what they're always focused on, is you got to lean into that you got to figure out what your thing is. You got to do that thing. You got to leave the other stuff undone. But what I want you to know, and what I found to be true, is that it's the 20% that's kind of magic. That there's just a ton of freedom in being able to say, I'm going to do this thing I'm not good at. And I don't care that I'm not good at it. And you just go, in fact, a lot of things that have been, a lot of fun in my life has fallen into that 20%. For a long time, in my 20s, I had buddies, I'd get out and play golf. I haven't played golf in a long time. I was never that good. But I got good enough that if you were good, you didn't have to wait for me. Right? Like, I would take maybe 2, 3, 4 more strokes than you, but I wasn't like digging through the rough or swimming through the pond, or I could kind of keep up, right? And then I was good. I went, if I gotta work at golf, I'm not gonna play. It's not, to get really good at golf, you gotta play like 3-4 times a week. That's 80%. I was never going pro, so golf had to be in my 20%. But when I was out, I had a lot of fun. Mark Twain's right, it's like a good walk interrupted, you know? And it was a really good time. Right now, I play a lot of pickleball. I'm not good at pickleball. If I had to work at pickleball, I wouldn't play. But it's fun. Like, I am getting better. I'm learning stuff. It's entertaining. But I'm not like determined to be an incredible pickleballer. If I was, it would get me very little. You know, and so I go out, I play, I come home, Strange goes, how'd you do? I don't know, I won some, I lost some. Usually by the time I walk off the court, I can't even tell you how many games I won or lost, you know? You try to win that game, then you just go on to the next one. It's fun. I run, I love to run. Running, I work at a little bit, but I'm not good at it. I got no ambition to win anything. It's like if I had to be really good, I just wouldn't do it. It's at my 20%, but it brings me a lot of joy. I like a video game now and then. I'm playing Silksong right now. Aiden will tell you that when I play video games, I die a lot. I'm not that good at them. He and Alex used to let me play Fortnite with them when they played. They would like wait for me and tell me how to find them. They were very nice. But they were never like, you're really good at this. They were like, you should maybe practice on your own. They would tell me that and point me towards YouTube videos to hone my technique. I was like, if I have to do that, I'm not playing Fortnite at all, right? It has to fit into that 20%. The British writer Oliver Burkeman has a great line I picked up this week. He says, the freedom to suck at something and not care is revelatory. It's the freedom to suck at something and not care is revelatory. He's English, so he says revelatory, but we know what he means. That it's revelatory, that it's just this great, like, to be able to do this. And so, you know, when I'm playing a video game and people are like, you're not very good. You know, when as a young man, I'd be like, oh yeah? But now I'm like, no, I'm not. But you know what I can do? Move out of my parents' basement, hold down a job and raise kids. But it's awesome that you're good at driving make-believe cars. That's cool. Right? Like, I don't have to, it's not, my ego's not on it. I can suck at it without caring. And it actually makes a lot of fun. And you just go, hobby is a good word, isn't it? Hobby is a good word. When you say, oh, I have a hobby, I collect stamps. No one goes, are you good at it? Right? You have a hobby, I build model trains. They don't go, do you win competitions? They go, oh, is it fun? Does it bring you joy? Does it make you happy? Does it help you relax? Hobby's a good word. When we say hobby, we mean, I don't care if I'm good at it, don't we? I mean, maybe not really, not in the, I mean, if you're miserable with it, but you know. And so that's what I kind of want to dabble. I always have. I want to be a curious dilettante. I want to be a Renaissance man. I want to be a jack of all trades, but I do want to be a master of some, you see. And that 80-20 helps me kind of do that in a way where I live well, I think, or better than I would otherwise. But we do not like limits, do we? We just don't. We're always trying to kind of expand outside of our limits, do more than we can do, be good at everything, do one more thing. We don't like to live within our limits. Berkman tells a story, and it's not his, it's been around too, but I think it's kind of fun, about this New York businessman. He's on vacation, he's in Mexico, he's at the beach. And as he's there, he sees all these local guys. They're just hanging out, playing music, having fun. So he gets, because he's there all week, he gets to know one of them. He starts talking to him, and the guy just sort of tells him about his life. He goes, well, I'm a fisherman. I get up, I fish, but I only work a few hours a day. I get up, I fish a few hours, and then I spend the rest of my day on the beach drinking wine, making music with my friends. And this businessman from New York is aghast, because it's just like his incredibly poor time management skills, his lack of ambition, you know, like, what are you doing with your life? And so he fills it in. He goes, look, man, if you would just suck it up and work twice as long, like if you do like almost a full day, you could catch twice as many fish, which means you would make twice as much money, which means then you could invest in a second boat, and then you could hire somebody to fish in that boat, and then you would be making 4 times as much money, and you could buy 2 more boats, and you could hire 2 more people, and eventually you could own this whole fleet of boats and have all these people fishing for you, and you wouldn't have to fish anymore. And he goes, well, why would I want to do that? And the businessman says, because then when you've made it, you can retire, and you can spend your days sitting on the beach, drinking wine and making music with your friends, right? And you go, why do we feel that push to like extend beyond our limits? But we all kind of, especially in this culture, we're told we need to optimize, maximize, that our productivity determines our value. But the things that matter to us the most aren't always to do with productivity. And I hear that. I mean, I think the number one excuse I get for people when they say, I'm sorry, I'm missing church, or I can't do a hoop pod, or I don't have time to like read a Bible or whatever, like I'd like to, but I don't, because I'm too busy, I don't have time, I can't do it, I'm too busy, I don't have time. I hear that all the time. I bet you do too. I bet some of you say it. Now, I don't keep attendance really. It's not like if you miss a Sunday, you spend extra time in purgatory or nothing. This isn't me trying to guilt you into showing up more. In fact, and sometimes I do. I get legitimately great excuses. Victoria works really hard to arrange her schedule so she could be here and sing as many Sundays as she can, because she's a nurse. And when she can't, I know she's done everything she could to be here. And I'm never like, well, if you really love Jesus, I'm like, keep people alive, and we'll see you next time. That's pretty cool. Actually, the single greatest excuse I think I ever got is I had this guy when I was in LA that was in one of my groups, and he disappeared for most of October. He worked at JPL, which is NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And I hadn't seen him in like a month, so I texted him like, hey man, how you doing? And he just goes, we're landing the Mars rover at the end of the month. So it's like all hands on deck. And I just was like, actually landing the Mars rover is the best excuse I ever got for this at church. It really is. Like, he really did the programming for it. So he's like, if you remember the video, 8 minutes of terror. There was like 8 minutes between when it got to like started to deploy and hit the ground, where they just didn't know if it made it or not. It made it. It was this amazing feat of engineering. And so I was like, I'll see you in November. Land the rover. I get it, right? And so, yeah, sometimes, but that's not what I get most of the time. Most of the time, it's, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other. A lot of the times, it's our kids, isn't it? I mean, very often, it's our kids. They've got cheer, they got football, they got soccer, they got dance, or whatever, and I can't do this because they're doing all these other different things. And pastor in Cali, a guy named Larry Osborne, I hang out with some. I heard him tell a story one time I haven't seen his books. I heard quite a few of them. I just was in the room with him. He's telling the story. I hope I do it justice. I've always kind of liked, I heard it, and I went, yeah, it frames it up pretty well. He's talking about his son was in high school. I think it was his youngest son, and he was running track, and he was pretty good. And he had won the district, and then he was going to get to run the next level competition. If he won that, he would go to state. And state in California is a big deal. And California is like the population of Canada. A lot of California's competitions are just within the state because it's like 30 plus million people. You know, like it's got a whole multiple states worth of everything. And he was, you know, if he won this, he was going to go run at states. And so he was in it. He was going to go run track and field kid, and then he had. I think it was prom because track's in the spring, right? So I think it was prom. Prom was the same weekend. He had this girl he really wanted to take to prom. And the track meet was the day after the prom is. And so he tells his dad, he says, you know, I can do a both. And his dad goes, well, I mean, you do what you want, but you know you're going to fall. Because you got to beat track meet super early. There's no way you're getting at home that early if you go to prom. He goes, you do what you want, but you know if you do this, you're gonna bomb. Like you're not gonna perform at your best because I mean these are good runners that you're running against. And his son goes, no, I can do it. I want to take her to prom. I really want to take her to prom. And I'll get up and go run. And he goes, okay. I mean, you do what you want to do. And so he did. He went out, had a good time, took this girl to prom, came home. Next day, his dad said he went out, watched him run, and he said he did. He bombed. He was strong for, I don't know, he's running a little bit, and then he just flagged and he couldn't keep up, you know? And he saw him do it, and he didn't win. He was walking off the field afterwards, and his dad walked down through the chain link fence. Sadly, if you've ever been to a track meet, they're not as well attended as they should be. The track's awesome. Go watch a track. But, you know, you just kind of, so he walked down and was talking to him through the fence, and he goes, you bombed, didn't you? And his son just goes, yeah, I did. And he goes, he didn't say I told you so. He goes, well, are you still happy with your decision? And he said he stopped and he thought about it, and he goes, yeah, I really like her. I'll do it again. And he just looked at him and he goes, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You hear that from your dad, right? He goes, I think you did too. And he kind of shrugged and he goes, he wasn't going to win state. He was pretty fast because he wasn't going to state. He wasn't going to college on a scholarship. He wasn't going to be a pro runner. He wasn't making any of that stuff. He did marry that girl, and I've got some great grandkids out of it. That's a pretty good thing, you know? And I went, yeah. And he goes, I want to raise kids like that, right? I do. That they run, they compete, they go hard, but it's not their life, it's not their whole world. That they do it. And I go, yeah, I'm proud of it. You know, and so we got here after that, and you know, the kids do stuff. They march and soccer and all those things, and I've always been really proud of, like, 5th grade, they'd be playing soccer and 8 games on Sunday, and the Garcia Cup championship into the season, yeah, you can miss church for that. We're not monsters, you know. Church attendance doesn't get you into heaven, but on a normal season game, he'd look at it, and if it was too close to make it for church, he'd go, well, I just won't play that one, you know. And he'll tell you, if you ask him, he didn't have a choice. That's right, that's called parenting. But he took it super well. You know, like he kind of went, no, this is just the thing. Every family's got to figure that out. You know, you miss some, you don't miss others. I get it. But I wanted them to kind of, you know, I wanted to know that you do this stuff, but it's the 20%. You enjoy it, it's fun, nice value in your life, but it doesn't make over. You got to know what it is that matters. You got to ask yourself, is your kid going to be a professional basketball player? Is your kid really going to go to school on a track scholarship? Is your kid really going to make it as a dancer? Are they going to be a Christian? Are they going to be involved in the church? Are they going to be devoted to community? And I saw this when I was in LA. I worked with Chinese churches for 8 years. And actually, it was a friend of mine that pointed it out to me. I went, yeah, no, that's true. That these parents would come over and they would come here to start over, and they would work really hard. These wonderful, beautiful people. I love them to death. They were my people. And they wanted the best for their kids, and they would sacrifice for their kids, and they would send their kids to the best schools, and they would tell them, you go do that, you get great grades, you do, and we'll take care of the other stuff. And then they go to church and they say, no, you do your homework, you do your thing, and we'll run the church. And then their kids would grow up, and they would want them to come and help run the church. The kids would say, no, I gotta do my thing. because it's what they taught them, and it will break their hearts, and it will break mine too. And someone will come around and find their own. I mean, it's a lot of them in the follow Jesus, but I saw that enough to say it was a little bit of a trend. But we don't actually say that, do we? I mean, when we're doing this stuff, we don't think, oh, I'll do whatever instead of church. I'll do this instead of reading my Bible. We don't think that. What do we think? We think, I'm going to do one more thing. What we think is, oh, I can do it all. We'll do one thing here, one thing there, one thing here, one thing there. I can do one more thing. We'll just do it all. We'll just kind of mix it up. I'm still doing this other thing, but you're not, are you? Because you can't do it all. We all have to pick and choose. We all have to know what's in our 80, what's in our 20. We all have to know how to arrange our lives around values, because whatever you're doing something else, you're not doing all the other things. And the lie we tell ourselves is one more thing. And we tell ourselves that because we struggle to live within our limits. We don't like them. We want 150%, not 80 and 20. But you just can't have it. So we're going to open up the book of Romans here in a second. Romans is great. A lot of times I tell you, we know Paul wrote this, but we're not, he's in prison, we're not sure where he's in prison, or, last time, this last series we were in Hebrews, and we're like, we know it's written to Hebrew Christians, but we don't know where they are, and we don't know who wrote it, we don't know where they are. It was probably close to the end of the 60s, right before Jerusalem was destroyed. Romans is great. It was written by Paul. He was sitting in Corinth. It was about AD 55. Boom. Occasionally, we're just pretty sure this is one of those books. He's sitting in Corinth. He's writing to the church in Rome. He's never been to visit this church. It started without him. We think probably it was initially Jews from Rome who ended up in Jerusalem, heard the gospel, went back to Rome, started churches. We know that at some point there was actually an uprising in Rome. We have a copy of something written by Caesar where he kicked out all the Jews from Rome because they were fighting over Christus, which we think is probably just a misspelling of Christos by someone who doesn't know what they're really fighting about. That it seems like the church caused a kerfuffle. And so by the time Paul writes this, that's been lifted. Jews are back in Rome, but the church in Rome is now grown while the Jewish Christians were gone. So that whereas the Jewish Christians initially had been the stronger faction, now the Gentile Christians probably are. And it seems like they're having trouble getting along. And so Paul's writing this because he feels like he's done with his work in the East. The church there is called Antioch, or the church in Antioch was his hub there. And he's hoping that the church in Rome will be a hub for him to go to the West. He's wanting to go to Spain and preach the gospel. And so he's writing primarily, his goal in a lot of this is to unify that church in Rome, to bring them together, Jew and Gentile alike, so that they can have this unity, really be a hub to send and support them in furthering the gospel and bear a faithful witness within Rome. I think pretty timely. I think a book that's going to translate pretty well. We've got divisions in our country. We've got mostly Gentile church. I don't think too many of you converted from Judaism. We've got all kinds of stuff going on with Romans. We're still going to have to interpret it, bring it forward. But I think it's going to speak to us really pretty well. And so he's laid out for 11 chapters the theology behind why it is that they should come together. We'll dip in and out of that as we go. And now he's getting to talk to them about, here's then how you live this out. Here's then how you live questionable lives. Here's then how you are not a hypocrite. Here's then what it looks like to be in a Christian community together in the city of Rome. And so pray with me, please, and we'll jump in here and see what Romans has to say. Well, God, it's tough to kind of balance out all the opportunities and potential that exist in our modern lives. That we all have so many things we could do, so many things we could study, so many things we could be and become, and yet we can't study them all, be them all, become them all, do them all. And it, as options have multiplied, it has become increasingly difficult to determine what matters from what doesn't, which is the definition of sanity. And so, God, my prayer as we go through this, my prayer as we look at what it is to live questionable lives, is that that this would actually put us in touch with reality. That this would be about learning what matters from what doesn't. Learning what you want us to do. Learning what it is that you care about. And arranging our lives in such a way that we're spending most of our time and energy effort on the things that really matter. and that we're free to suck at things and not care, and just enjoy stuff at that 20%, without having to make everything we do a big life goal or take over what it is that we're doing. Help us to live well in a way that people will look at us and say, "Man, you're a little different. You're less anxious. You seem more focused. You seem happier. You seem content to not do 100 things that I feel to do all the time." And we can say, "Oh yeah, well I know the guy who's in charge, and I trust him, so I can just do my thing and be pretty happy." And it will bring you glory, and it will bring people to understand of a life together. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So we're actually going to cheat a little bit. We're going to dip back into the very end of Romans 11. And we'll start with the 33rd verse. So this is what Paul has to say. "Oh, what a wonderful God we have. How great are his riches and wisdom and knowledge. How impossible it is for us to understand his decisions and his methods. For who can know what the Lord is thinking? Who knows enough to be his counselor? Who can ever give him so much that he would have to pay it back? Everything comes from him. Everything exists by his power. It is intended for his glory. To him be glory forevermore." Let me read this one more time. It is a great hymn of praise. Paul's going to begin with therefore, or and so in this translation, which means he's pointing to what he's just said. He's actually pointing to the whole 11 chapters before this. He's saying, okay, therefore, here's what we're going to do. But he ended with this hymn of praise. Let me read it one more time. "Oh, what a wonderful God we have. How great are his riches and wisdom and knowledge. How impossible it is for us to understand his decisions and his methods." Like most translations bring this across as his ways are inscrutable. Isn't that a great word? His ways are inscrutable. It means you cannot know them. Who can know what the Lord is thinking? Who knows enough to be his counselor? We don't get to tell him what to do. Who could ever give him so much that he would have to pay it back? Everything comes from him. Everything exists by his power. Everything is intended for his glory. So to him be glory forevermore. He begins with the wisdom, the knowledge, the power, the glory, and the inscrutability of God. It's something we all have to run into. It's something we all have to crash into. It's something we all have to deal with the weight of. And when you run up against it, you can do one of two things. You can either accept it, embrace it, and just marvel at him. He's beyond me. I can't get him. I can't understand. I can't instruct him. He is just wonderful. Or you can resent it, push back against it, and try to do his job for him. To tell him what to do and insist on how he should do. That when you run into the glory and inscrutability of God, you either embrace it, which means you have to embrace your finitude, your limits, or you push against it, in which case you try to extend beyond what you can do. That is, you either recognize that God's got it covered, or you try to do one more thing, and one more thing. One more thing. I sometimes laugh, or just kind of joke about, like, I don't like doing early morning prayer meetings, because there's like 1 billion people in China, and I feel like he's finishing up over there. And it would be mean to like distract him, you know? Really, I just don't want to meet to pray at 5 in the morning, because I don't do anything at 5 in the morning. But we know that's not true, right? I'm just being funny. God can effortlessly do 1 billion things. He can effortlessly do 8 billion things. He can effortlessly do any number of things. You can do one at a time. Multitasking is just quick task switching. We've proven this now. It makes you less efficient, more prone to mistakes, less happy, ruins your sense of flow. You can't multitask. You can only single task. But if you don't trust him to do 8 billion things, you can't be happy doing it. And so we begin with a vision of God. That means we can what was the line? We have the freedom to suck and not care, right? That we can go, yeah, because I'm not in charge. I know who's got it covered. I can just do my bit. And I know he's got the rest of it down. And so we begin with this. And then we move on to the beginning of chapter 12. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will accept. When you think of what he has done for you, is this really too much to ask? Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will know what God wants you to do, and you will know how good and pleasing and perfect His will really is. Now, I want to look at these two verses. These are linchpin verses. This is a transitional passage. He's finished 11 chapters of theology, and now he's moving into the last. He's not actually, over the course of the next couple of chapters, going to say Jesus too terribly often, like overtly, but he will be implied all through here. Because what he's doing from here really into the end of the book, but especially to the end of the 15th chapter, is he is working out what he's saying here in these two verses. So, because of now how great we see God is, I plead with you to give your bodies to God as a living sacrifice, the kind he will accept. When you think what he has done for you is too much to ask. The more literal translation there, the kind he wants you to accept, is to give your bodies to God, a living and holy sacrifice. And he says either this is your appropriate service, or this is your spiritual worship. Because of the Greek words he uses there, it can kind of go either way. He doesn't use the normal word pneumaticus for spiritual. He uses logikus, which is like, it comes from logic. Logos. Some of you guys know that word. And so what he's saying here is really kind of, there's this double entendre where he's like, give your body to God, which he doesn't mean just like, give him your body to keep your heart for yourself. If you read the rest of the book, you'll know that's clearly not true. You can have your mind. In fact, he's just going to say change your mind. He's using body here. It's one way to look at all of you, right? Like all of you that is in or connected to your body. If I hug your body, I kind of hug you, right? And so he's talking about you as a physical person in the world who's able to act and do and will to behave. So he's saying, give your life, yourself, your body to God, which is your spiritual worship, but also the reasonable thing for you to do when you look at him is to just give him yourself. Yeah? And so a living sacrifice, which is a fun, again, sort of like, sacrifice something, you killed it. He's like, I want you to give your body to the Lord, but as a living sacrifice. Jesus bled out for you. You get to be a living sacrifice. He dies for you. You live for him. Then the next verse. So then, if that's what you do, right, if you give yourself to him, you're not going to copy the behavior and customs of this world. You are going to live a questionable life. You're going to live different. Not because you're trying, that's the point, is that these aren't gimmicks, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you, hey, this week I want everyone to wear a giant wooden cross around their neck, right? That's not, these aren't tricks, these aren't life hacks. This is about aligning your life in a way that fits with the reality of Jesus. And if you do that, you are going to live different than people whose lives are aligned around different things. It makes sense to chase money, but not if you know God's got you covered. It makes sense to maximize your time for productivity, but not if you know that God is the one that's in charge. And then it makes sense to take a day off, to do what he wants you to do, which is what? To get together with your friends, drink wine, break bread, and make music together. Not a bad thing, huh? Oh, I'll do it when I get there. You never get there, you never do it. Retirement doesn't come soon enough. You always have one more thing to do. And so, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think, by renewing your mind, is what it actually says. Then you will know what God wants you to do. And you will know how good and pleasing and perfect his will really is. Let him renew your mind and you will know what matters. And then it will make sense to you. It will be the reasonable thing for you to do. You don't have to work it up. You don't have to do it because you're supposed to. You don't have to do it to prove a point. You have to do it to try to convince your friends. You just do it because it makes sense. It makes sense. Trust him, follow him, love him, to do the things he's asking you to do. It's a pretty great passage. And so the rest of this series, all the way through to Advent, he's going to be unpacking what that looks like, to live in that sort of way. And the first thing he's going to tell us is this. As God's messenger, I give each of you this warning. Be honest in your estimate of yourselves, measuring your value by the faith God has given you. Just as our bodies have lots of parts, and each part has a particular function, so it is with Christ's body. Pick up the tie there too. Give your body to him, now you're part of his body. That's fun, isn't it? We are all parts of his one body, and each one of us has different work to do. And since we are all one body in Christ, we belong to each other, and each of us needs all of you elements. What's the first thing he says then? Is he says, look, so if you give yourself to God, this is what you figure out. Don't be too impressed with yourself. Don't try to do his job. Don't try to do one more thing. Measure yourself honestly, accurately, by the faith that you have. Now, the Greek here says the measure of faith. That could mean how much faith you have, but that would be really weird because the New Testament almost never talks about faith as more or less. You have it or you don't. Romans never does up to this point. But that measure can also just mean the amount, like the measure. Like you either have it or you don't. It would be like if I gave you each a measure of flour. That would be the same measure, you know? And so what I think Paul is actually saying here is just measure yourself by, do you have faith or do you not? Is your faith in him or is it in yourself? Is your faith in him or is it in something else? Not, do I have more or less, but just do I have it or not? And he goes, let that be what determines your value. And once you know that he is in charge, then you can realize that everybody has a role to play. You have your role to play. You don't have to play their role, and you don't have to get them to play yours. Because we do both those things, right? We either like, I'm going to do my job and 300 jobs, or my job's a really good one, you all need to do my thing. And he goes, no, you do your thing. God's got the rest of it covered, and everyone else can do their thing. You go, how nice. I remember years ago, I was in a Trader Joe's in LA. The church I pastored there was just down from the flagship store. I took myself some very tasty all-natural snacks. And I got up to the front. I knew a lot of people in that store. One of the assistant managers was one of my guys. And I was talking to people, and the lady that was checking me out, she goes, "Oh, you're a pastor. I know you're really busy." That's good. I'm not busy. And she just stopped and looked at me. I go, "I'm not busy." I go, "Well, what you're doing is important. You don't have to do a bunch of other stuff." And she just kind of goes, "Oh," like I was being smug or something. I didn't mean to be a jerk, but I just was like, "No, I'm not busy." Because why do we do all that other stuff? It's because we think what we're doing doesn't matter much, isn't it? That's why I talk to other pastors, and they're like, "My church is doing this and this and this program and this thing," and I just go, "Man, your Sunday must suck." And they're like, "What do you mean?" You go, "Well, if what you were doing was any good, why would you have to do 100 other things?" I watch them kind of go, "Oh." I go, "Yeah, why don't you just do the thing that matters?" And that's it. Eugene Peterson talks about this. The danger with like discipleship is just doing one more thing, right? I read my Bible, I read a chapter, I'm going to read 5 chapters, I'm going to read 10 chapters, I'm going to memorize, now I'm going to meditate, now I'm going to pray. You just do more and more and more, because you'll be a moron. Right? Like putting more on. Figure out what matters and do it. Do it every day. Do it whether you feel like it or not. If God meets you when you pray, pray. If He meets you in the Psalms, read them. But just do it. Do it every day. Stay faithful in it. Listen to Him. You need to tweak it sometimes. It's great to have a spiritual advisor who can say, maybe you should journal for a little while, or maybe you should try fasting or whatever, but you don't need to just do all of it all the time. Just be faithful with what He wants you to do. That's what we're going to work on. Is what does He want you to do? And then you just kind of keep on doing it. And you go, yeah, I don't have to do all the other stuff because I'm not in charge. I'm just like the spleen or something. I secrete my stuff. I don't have to be that fancy. And so this is what he says. This is the end of our passage. God has given each of us the ability to do certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out. This says when you have faith that God is speaking through you. That's actually a pretty good translation. It says analogia is the Greek word from which we get analogus, like analogy. That word from the Greek works into English. And so, again, it sounds like it could mean maybe like speak as a prophet in proportion to your faith, but again, that'd be really weird. It's like if you're a prophet with a lot of faith, prophesy a lot, boldly. If you're a prophet with little faith, just be playing prophecies. I don't even know how to apply that, right? But no, what it says is if you're a prophet, you can't just say whatever thing pops in your head. It needs to fit with your faith. It should be analogous to your faith, is what it says. And then he goes on to say, so most of these are pretty clear. If you're a prophet, speak out from your faith. If your gift is serving, serve. If you're a teacher, teach well. If your gift is encouraging others, encourage them. If you have money, be generous, right? That's the gift of giving. If your gift is giving, then be generous with the resources God's given you. If your gift is leadership, then take it seriously. If you have a gift for showing kindness or the gift of mercy, do it gladly or do it with joy. And so, there's 7 gifts here. 7 is kind of a number of completion. I don't know if that means that this is every gift and all the gifts. There are other gift lists, but they kind of seem to address different things, leadership and stuff. But what 7 is like the whole church all has these jobs to do. You have your role. Whatever your role is, you're obligated to do it. If God has gifted you as a teacher, you should teach 80% of the time. If God's gifted you as a leader, you should lead 80% of the time. If God has gifted you as whatever. But listen to what the emphasis is on here. It's not on maximizing productivity. He's not saying the church should be this efficient machine where everyone specializes. What does he say? Measure yourself by your faith. Don't get too full of yourself. Don't think you're all that important. You just do your thing because you know everybody else has their thing. And Christ is the head of the body, and he's got it covered. And so the point of this isn't for you to do your thing more. The point of this is for you to be able to relax and kind of suck at something without caring. To not have to do more than your thing. To not have to do one more thing. God made you to be who you are. He wanted you to be you. He loves you. He doesn't want you to be someone else. He doesn't want you to be more than you are. He doesn't want you to be smarter than you are, better looking than you are, younger or older than you are. He wants you to be you. Oh, isn't that nice? Why do we try so hard to escape our limits? Why do we try so hard to be a little bit more than we really are? It's because we don't marvel at God. And so we think we have to do his job. Limitations are prophets. There are many things you're not able to do. And there's many opportunities you don't have. Because God didn't want you to do those things. He's keeping you from them. One of the worst things you can do is succeed at the wrong thing. Because it will trap you. We rail against our limits. And God gives them to us as a gift. And so we should embrace them. Most of us just don't matter very much. Wait, this is church? That's not a message of hope. It kind of is, though, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Most of us just don't matter very much. If most of us were to live a life where we ended up strung out on drugs, poor, desperate, died in a mud puddle, versus a life where we successfully run a company, employ several people, and drink Nespresso in the morning while we look down on our Keurig slurping neighbors, if you were to travel 10 miles from where you live and work, most people wouldn't care those, would they? They just wouldn't. There's a lot of freedom in that. I remember telling a buddy years ago who was just really worried about what people thought of him. You wouldn't care so much what people thought of you if you knew how seldom they did. And he came back a week later, he goes, that really helped. Because all week I'd be worried about what someone thought of me, and I'd realize, I bet they never think of me again after I leave the room. I go, yeah, they probably don't. Most of you won't think of me again until next week. That's fine. I wouldn't want you thinking about me all week. I'm not that interesting. Think about Jesus. That's the point of this. But when we can embrace our limits, it sets us free. It's like when you're on a screen, it makes you feel really big and important. When you're out in nature, you feel really small. And it feels better to be small, doesn't it? It feels really good to be small, doesn't it? It is great for us to embrace our finitude. In fact, it is required for us to be people at all. For you to be conscious, for you to be cognitive, you have to be able to sort between what matters and what doesn't. You have so much stimuli coming into you all the time. The only way you can think or focus on anything is to not think about 1,000 other things. You have so many memories built up in your data bank, even if you're very young, that it will just overwhelm you. It's amazing that you just pull out the memories you want for the most part. Sometimes they pop up in your head, right? And sometimes you want them, sometimes you don't. But you've got so much that your brain can focus on. The only reason you can be a human being, the only reason you can be conscious, the only reason you can be a person is because you're able to determine what matters from what doesn't. And the more you're able to do that, the more human you become. The more you embrace your limits, the more you become yourself. And this is why faith in God leads to us becoming not less, but more. Not less who we are. He doesn't overwhelm us. He doesn't squash us. He doesn't rob us of our personality. That when we can look at God and go, wow, his ways are inscrutable. He owes me nothing and I cannot understand him. Then you are free to live within the limits he's assigned you to. And you become more who you are. More yourself. More in touch with reality. More in touch with what matters. You start to look a little more like 80-20 than a desperate 150 that ends up being about nothing of anything. Isn't that a bad way to live? Wouldn't that make you questionable if you could actually pull that off? If you could resist the temptation to add one more thing? And I think it really would. I think that this is actually super attractive to people. I think when you can go, yeah, I don't do that thing. I don't need that thing. I kind of know what I'm about. I do this and I don't care that I suck at it because it's not my thing. But I know what is my thing, and I take great joy in it, and I trust God with the rest. People would want to go, why aren't you busy? Why aren't you frantic? Why are you not anxious? Why can you leave things happily undone? What's going on with you? So you can say, well, I believe in Jesus and He taught me this amazing new way to live. And because I can marvel at the glory of God, I can stop trying to do His job and be very happy with the role He's given me to play, whether you're an eyeball or a toenail or whatever you happen to be. It's a great youth group game, by the way, so everyone try to figure out which part of the body the other people in the room are. You end up with some pretty interesting. You're a little. Anyway. But here then comes the counterintuitive term. And that's why when we talk about the 80-20, we still have to talk about the 80. And when we talk about you trusting God, you still need to know what your gift is because if you try to eliminate enough stuff to where you can focus on what matters, you will never eliminate enough stuff. And that's why if you think, when I finally grow my business to the point where I can relax, then I will be able to sit on the beach, drink wine, and make music with my friends. You either never do, or at the time you do, you don't have much time left to do it. But if you realize in the beginning, the thing that actually matters to me is getting together with my friends, breaking bread, drinking wine, singing music to the Lord. The thing that really matters to me is this community of believers that God has put me into. Because we know, we talk about this statistically, psychologically, it's kind of indisputably at this point, that the thing that matters most to us is relationships. Good relationships will do more than anything else to determine the quality, length, health of your life, both physically and mentally. It makes sense to prioritize relationships with God and with each other. When we talk about this like it matters most, we're actually in touch with reality, aren't we? If you will start with that, if you will start with the 80, then everything else has to sort itself out. And when you look at what's left undone, and you go, yeah, but that's not in my 80, and you're happy. But if you frantically try to get all this other stuff in, and then you don't do the thing that matters, you're miserable, you're frustrated, you're busy and unproductive. You look at a day full of frenetic energy, and you go, I got nothing done today. But if you want to write, if you get up and you write for 2 hours, and then don't worry about the other stuff you don't get done, you know what you become? A writer. If you want to, whatever, be a dancer, you dance for 2 hours every day, and if you don't get something else done, what do you become? A dancer. If you get up and you follow Jesus, you make time, you pray, you read the Bible, you get together, you prioritize that, and then other stuff doesn't get undone, do you know what you become? A lot like Jesus, a Christian, a follower, a disciple. And so the counterintuitive turn is that you can't begin by eliminating the extra. You have to begin by prioritizing the main thing. And then you let everything else kind of fall into place. Or not. You can't do it all. You're going to leave things undone. You're going to deselect things. Good things, things you would enjoy, things you would like to do, you're not going to do. So that you can do the thing that you really will regret if you don't. And so there's this process here that Romans is walking us through that is rooted deeply in the gospel of Jesus, which is, you begin. If it ends up, you go, well, you're doing 80% of your time. You're focused on the stuff that matters most, and you're not letting things kind of distract you or bog you down. But before that, you figure out what your thing is. What is it about? Is it mercy? Is it teaching? Is it prophecy? Is it giving? You figure out what your thing is, and before that, you recognize that God is God, or that Jesus has chosen you to be a part of this, a part of His body, because He died and was resurrected for you. You get to be a living sacrifice because He was a crucified one. And before that, you just marvel at the greatness of God. And so we start by looking at God and going, man, He's got it covered. And then we see that He sent His Son to love us and choose us to be a part of that. and that he's given you a gift, a role to play, a thing to do. He has purpose for you that you can just embrace and lean into, and that you don't have to worry about stuff you're not doing because he's got it covered. And then you're free. And then you shape your life around Jesus. And then you start to live a little bit more questionable. And then people want to know, what's going on with you? And you can say, oh, well, I don't think I'm God anymore. So I don't have to do one more thing. Doesn't it sound good? Isn't that how we all want to live? It's how he wants you to live. And if that's not what you got, if that's not how you're living, it's time to rearrange your life a little bit. It's time to marvel at the goodness of God. It's time to know that he sent his son for you and he's choosing you. It's time to trust him. And so that's why the way we begin is by saying yes to Jesus. Is by making him our Lord. Is by saying, I'm not going to my show anymore. I'm going to let you run. I'll put my faith in you. And then he saves you out of the desperation of 1,000 things. To narrow you down, to limit you to your finitude, to take away all the distractions and put you into your limits so that you become free to be far more yourself than you never got to be before. And you're saved. You're saved from all. Pray with me, please. Lord Jesus, thanks for saving us. And it's not just heaven when we die, but that's a great thing. That we get to spend eternity for you. It's heaven now. That we get to spend now with you. That you set us free. Not to live like everyone else in the world lives, as Paul says. But to have our minds renewed so that we see you, so that to live in this way is just our reasonable spiritual worship. That it just makes sense to give our bodies, our lives to you, because you have given your son to us. And that we're free to be who you made us to be. And not have to be more, not have to be extra, not have to do one more thing. To trust you with that. And just do what you have for us to do, because we know who's God. It's not us anymore. Amen. Amen.